Hey YouTube, Carrot Twig here, bringing you all an update to my DDD Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile for September 2024. I always like updating the DDD deck. It is one of my favorite pendulum decks to come out of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5 series, used by Akaba Reiji. It is a pendulum deck that can focus on being able to also summon out a wide variety of different monsters from the extra deck, including Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, and Link monsters, and also being able to just use the added monster support of the DD monsters in the main deck to be able to easily summon out these monsters as well. Like I said, I've been updating the deck, so pretty happy with the change results since the last update, and it's been over a year since the last update, so definitely wanted to go for, more of the competitive route for this deck that I always like to go for. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So we'll go ahead and start off with the main deck monsters. For the DD monsters, running 3 copies of DD Savant Kepler. The only real effect you have to remember with Kepler is when it's normal or special summon, you can activate one of these effects. You can target one other DD card you control, return to the hand, or you can add one Dark Contract from your deck to your hand. So the main one you're going to use is the search for your Dark Contract with a gate, because then it will give you an additional search off of that card. A lot of times you'll use that to then go for DD Griffin. Since you'll control DD monster, you can summon it, and then you can use those 2 monsters to summon out your Abyss King Gilgamesh. But before we get to that, another 3 of that we run is 3 copies of DD Savant Copernicus. When it's normal or special summon, you can send one DD or Dark Contract card from your deck to the graveyard, except for Savant Copernicus. You can always use this effect of Copernicus once per turn. The send power can set up a particular graveyard DD monster that you may need, whether it be for a fusion, synchro, or even a special summon resource. You have plenty of targets to be able to send off of Copernicus to give you that play to go into. And 3 copies of DD Griffin. Griffin is very reliable depending on how you special summon this card also. If you control a DD monster, you can special summon this card from your hand in defense. If it's pendulum summon, you can discard a DD or Dark Contract card to draw 1. And if it's special summon from the graveyard, you can add 1 DD card from your deck to your hand. So search power depending on how it's summoned. You can only use each effect of Griffin once per turn, but making full use of them all means that you can summon it off of its effect, use it for a link play, summon it back out into the field, and then use it for an overlay of a rank 4 Xyz play to set it up in the graveyard instead of it going to the extra deck after you use it for another extra deck play. And for the last of our 3 copies of DD Swirl Slime. If it's in your hand, you can fusion summon 1 DDD fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand as fusion material, including this card. And you can banish this card from your graveyard to special summon 1 DD monster from your hand. So what I like about Swirl Slime is it can help to set up our King Genghis combo, which I can show at the end of the video as well, if you have your DD Necro Slime as well for that combo to be used. And for some of the lower numbers for the DD monsters, 2 copies of DD Orthros. With this card, once per turn, you can target a spell trap on the field and 1 other DD or Dark Contract card you control. Destroy them, so its pendulum scale is pretty usable for destruction, and when you take battle or effect damage, you can special summon this card from your hand. If it's special summon from basically special summon to your field, you cannot special summon for the rest of this turn, except for Fiend-type monsters, which really isn't a lockdown since the majority of the cards in the deck are Fiend monsters, so no restrictions with DD Orthros' other special summon effect. And being a tuner monster, it can also help when we want to go into our level 8 synchro play, DDD Curse King Siegfried. And then for some of the 1-ofs for the DD monsters, 1 copy of DD Vice Typhoon, 1 DD Lamia, and the 1 DD Necro Slime. These are all 1-ofs. You have the Synchro play, 2 fusion plays as well with the banish option for Necro Slime, and when the card, being your DD Vice Typhoon, is sent to the graveyard because it was set there this turn, you can fusion summon a level 8 or higher DD fusion monster from your extra deck by banishing fusion material listed on from your graveyard. So you have 2 fusion plays, and then the special summon back power of your Lamia for another tuner, or just an additional resource to be summoned onto the field. These are all great targets to send off of Copernicus for the graveyard setup. It just depends on which one you want to use for that moment. And also for the 1-ofs for our DD Pendulum monsters, 1 copy of Divine Zero King Rage, 1 King Abyss Ragnarok, 1 Savant Thomas, and the 1 Cerberus. The Ragnarok and the Zero King Rage are the ones you, the majority of the time, will set in your pendulum scale off of King Gilgamesh, because then you'll be able to summon back all the cards you used having a scale 0 and a scale 5. For that additional summon, you can use Savant Thomas to add a face-up DD monster from your extra deck to your hand as well, if you want to set up that scale for more recycle power. And then with DD Cerberus, when it's pendulum summoned from the hand while you control a DD monster other than DD Cerberus, you can target a continuous spell in your graveyard, add it back to your hand. So being able to add back some Dark Contracts that you may have sent off of other card effects as well using those cards. And then lastly, for the main deck monsters, just a small hand trap lineup, 2 Ghost Ogre and 3 Ash Blossom. These could also be Ghost Mortar and Moonlit Chills or Effect Veilers, depending on what you want to play for this specific spot here, but it's mostly just player preference also. And then for the spells, 3 copies of Dark Contract with the Gate. The card you want to search off of Kepler, or you could use this card to search Kepler itself. During your main phase, you can add 1 DD monster from your deck to your hand. You can use this effect of Dark Contract with the Gate once per turn. And once per turn during your standby phase, take 1,000 points of damage. Search power, that's all you really have to rely on. With this card, being able to search out any of the DD monsters you need to set up your combos. And also, I like to run the 2 copies of Piri Ray's map. At the start of your main phase, add 1 monster with 0 attack from your deck to your hand, but half your life points. So you can add your Copernicus or your Kepler off of this card, and then you can't activate monster effects unless you normal summon that card, which is what you're going to do most of the time with Copernicus or Kepler anyway. So no real restriction there aside from the fact that it does half your life points. And we have a good majority of dark monsters in the deck as well. So for multiples, I do like to run the 3 copies of Allura Darkness, just for the banish option to draw into some more useful cards for us to use in the DDD deck. And also the 1 copy of Dark Contract with a patent license and 1 Dark Contract with a Swamp King, having another fusion option in the form of a spell and using Dark Contract with a patent license. If your opponent special summons a monster with the same card type, Fusion, Synchro, Caesar, Link as a DD monster you control, you can inflict 1,000 damage to your opponent. Also, while this card's on the field, your opponent cannot special summon with the same card type as that special summon monster. So you can restrict your opponent based on their summoning with the patent license using this card. And if it's sent to the graveyard, you can add 1 DD monster from your graveyard or face-up DD pendulum monster from your extra to your hand. Recycle power as another Dark Contract for you to potentially send to the graveyard also. With the last of our spells being 1 for 1 and 1 Call by the Grave, hand trap stopping of our opponent's cards, and then just another way to summon Kepler if need be to get the search off of the spell. For our traps, the only traps we run are the 1 copy of Eternal Darkness, Dark Contract, and the 1 DDD Headhunt, using Headhunt for resource taking of our opponents. And while you have 2 DD cards in your Pendulum Zone, your opponent cannot target monsters on the field with spell and trap effects. So more protection for some of the spell and traps your opponent may try to use against our monsters also. For the extra deck, we're running 3 copies of DDD Abyss King Gilgamesh. Now, the reason we run 3 is a lot of times you can make your first link summon if you have other resources on the field that you want to use for their scent effects. Then you'll use the 1 King Gilgamesh and that other DDD monster to go into another link to Gilgamesh so you can get the scent effect of that DDD monster. And the only other link monster we run is the 1 copy of Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. I was trying to find a spot for Moon from the latest pack to add in with this card, because nothing beats using your own DDD resources with such field swarming that you can do. And those cards, if I were to take out anything, it may be one of the King Deus Machinax, but it's player preference there, or you could drop the Gilgamesh to 2 if you wanted to put in Moon for that spot. Also, for the Xyz monsters, 2 copies of King Deus Machinax. For DDD Divisor, another overlay option. You can also see some of this card using a DDD monster you control as material, and having the monster effect negation, as well as the resource taking of our opponent's cards, using this easily Xyz summonable card on the field. And the 1 copy of Wave King Caesar, the 1 copy of Marksman King Tell, and also the 1 copy of Wave High King Caesar, and the 1 Kali Yuga. All different Xyz plays. The King Tell and the Wave King Caesar can be overlaid on top of one another. Depending on the search you need, these 2 monsters are also the ones that you'll rely on the most when you use your scent effect with King Gilgamesh. High King Caesar can stop Nibiru plays, and Kali Yuga can just, stop negations of all cards on the field as one of your bigger rank 8 monsters to summon out. With the fusion monsters being 2 copies of Flame King Genghis for easy special summoning, the 1 Oracle King D'Arc for life point gain, and the 1 Flame High King Genghis for spell and trap negation of our opponent's cards during our own turn also. And then the only synchro monster is the Cursed King Siegfried, a level 8 synchro monster. During either player's turn, you can target a face-up spell or trap on the field as its effects negated, so you can stop burn from your Dark Contracts as well using this card. And if it's destroyed by battle or card effect, you gain 1,000 life points for each Dark Contract you control. Added life point gain, but the big stop of a face-up card on the field. It doesn't have to necessarily be our Dark Contract, but it's good when we need it for that specific play anyway. And as for some of the go-to plays in the deck, as I said, Kepler starts off so many of our summons. We can use Kepler to then add our Dark Contract with the Gate. We can activate this card to then add our DD Griffin. Griffin will special summon off of its own effect. Then we can use the 2 to go to the extra deck and summon our DDD Abyss King Gilgamesh. We can then use the effect of Gilgamesh for this turn to place 2 DDD cards in our Pendulum Zone. So we can use Abyss King Ragnarok and our Zero King Rage, taking the 1,000 points of damage. But then also for this setup, we can then go for the Pendulum play again of our cards, summoning those resources back onto the field again. For that summon, if we have any additional card in our hand for the play, one of the better uses would be obviously the Copernicus summon, because then we can summon out Copernicus along with our additional Pendulum summon play. These will have to go the arrows, while Copernicus can go from our hand. You'll have a send for another card in our hand as a resource, and then you can use the Griffin and Copernicus for an overlay into our Wave King Caesar. So then with this card, you can go for the link to, again, using Caesar and our Gilgamesh into another copy of Gilgamesh. That will activate Caesar to then add an additional Dark Contract card from our deck to our hand. So we can add our Swamp King, activating Swamp King, having the needed fusion materials in our graveyard to then go for a bigger fusion play as well in the field. And that's where just the looping for the DDD plays go, because then you can use the Gilgamesh on the field, overlay it into the Maki next, and have just your extra monster zone taken up by 1 less card, since the Xyz monster could go in the main zone. Another play that I like to do consists of the Swirl Slime and the Necro Slime. So if you have both of these cards in your hand, you can just use the Swirl Slime, discarding both, to go for your fusion play of your King Genghis. Then you can go for the Banish of the 2 again for your Necro Slime this time, summoning out your second King Genghis. And that's only 2 summons down. You can go for your overlay, and with that you can go into your Wave High King Caesar as more of a protection play before you even start off your Kepler play for your summon, because then you can have this monster to stop Nibiru and then go crazy with your initial play that we mentioned before for your DDD summons. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed. Like I said, always like updating the DDD deck. It's definitely one of the more fun Pendulum decks to look into if you're looking for something to play. But as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.